November 11th, 2025, 20:30 hours local time. Caribbean Sea. Something unusual moves through the darkness. A formation so large it lights up every radar screen from Puerto Rico to Caracas. The USS Gerald R Ford carrier strike group, the most powerful naval force afloat, has entered the Caribbean. Deck lights off, radar emissions low. To outsiders, it looks routine, a counter-narcotics patrol under U.S. Southern Command. But everyone in the region knows better. This isn't about drugs, it's about dominance. This is America's largest naval deployment to Latin America since 1989. The Ford, flanked by destroyers USS Thomas Hudner and USS Ramage, with cruiser USS Normandy to the rear, pushes south of Puerto Rico into 4th Fleet Zone of Control. On deck, Air Wing 8 waits in silence. Super Hornets, Growlers, Seahawks, all armed, fueled, and watching. Across the region, airwaves erupt. News feeds show satellite images of the carrier moving through international waters. Caracas calls it an act of intimidation. Within hours, Venezuela's president signs a mobilization order. Naval and air units go to high alert. Radar stations light up along La Guaira, Portocabello, and Paraguana. Fishing vessels are warned to stay clear of the area. Inside the Ford's Combat Information Center, the mood stays calm but focused. Condition 3, normal readiness. Electronic warfare officers log new radar sweeps from the coast. Chinese-built JY-11B signatures. Nothing new, nothing unexpected. What changes is the tone. Venezuelan Navy radio transmits a message with no names, no coordinates. Any foreign vessel approaching our sovereign limits will be intercepted. Everyone aboard the Ford knows exactly who it's for. By 2100 hours, U.S. intercepts pick up coastal chatter. Fast boat crews standing by for launch. Outside, the Caribbean looks peaceful. Black water, no moon. 500 miles south in a dark radar room in Portocabello, a young operator leans closer to his screen. A new contact appears. Too big, too slow, too deliberate. The first entry in a chain of mistakes that's about to begin. What started as a warning will, within hours, become a direct challenge to the most powerful warship on Earth. November 12, 2025, 0142 hours local time, Venezuelan northern coast. The radar operators in Portocabello have been awake for hours. Coffee cups line the consoles. The air smells of dust and electronics. Then it happens. A new echo appears on the scope, 19 nautical miles north of La Guaira. The track looks big, steady, deliberate. To them, it's an American destroyer, probably a Burke-class ship running solo. An easy target for a warning intercept. Within 15 minutes, the order is signed. 6 fast patrol boats roll out from the docks, their diesel engines spinning white smoke into the night air. Each carries a crew of 8, armed with 12.7mm heavy machine guns and short-range rocket pods. They're light, fast, and unpredictable. The naval equivalent of street fighters. Under radio silence, they push north. 35 knots, sometimes touching 40. Hulls slamming through the swells. Navigation lights off. The lead boat's commander, a Coast Guard officer promoted just last year, scans the radar repeater mounted beside him. One bright dot, range decreasing. Course north by northwest. The problem? The information they're using is 30 minutes old. The destroyer they think they're closing in on isn't a lone ship at all. It's the Gerald R Ford herself, surrounded by layers of defense. Up at 090 degrees relative, the carrier's radar horizon masks its escorts. To a coastal system running outdated Chinese firmware, the reflections merge into one echo, one contact, one mistake. At 0207 hours local time aboard the USS Gerald R Ford, in the Combat Information Center, the air hums with quiet precision. Blue glow from screens, voices low, clipped, professional. Then a call from the radar console breaks the calm. Surface contacts detected, bearing 158, range 36 nautical miles, speed increasing. 4 fast-moving returns, then 6. Their radar signatures are small but erratic, the kind that makes a radar operator sit up a little straighter. The contacts are labeled automatically by the system. Skunk Alpha 1 through 6. The Ford is in Condition 3, Standard Patrol Readiness. Within seconds, the watch officer calls Set Condition 1. The room shifts. More crew members arrive. Weapon stations are manned. The tension doesn't show on their faces, but you can feel it in the air. If you're watching right now and you want to see how this ends, hit that subscribe button because what happens next is a masterclass in naval discipline. Electronic warfare picks up bursts of VHF static from the south. Too irregular to decode, likely low-power tactical radios. Launch both Romeos, the captain orders. 2 MH-60 Seahawks lift off within minutes, rotors cutting through the dark. Their mission, visual ID of the incoming contacts. In the CIC, a calm female voice reaches through the open channel. Unidentified surface vessels, this is a United States Navy warship operating in international waters. You are approaching a restricted zone. Identify yourself and alter course immediately. No reply, just the steady approach of 6 radar blips, now within 20 miles. CIWS batteries switch to standby. Their cameras lock on. Every console hums with data. 219 local time, Northern Caribbean. The first to spot them is the Seahawk crew. 6 small wakes cutting across the black surface. Tight formation, bow waves glowing faint under moonlight. Visual on movers, range 12 nautical miles, bearing 185. Back aboard the Ford. The CIC confirms the contacts are approaching too fast for commercial traffic, too coordinated for fishing boats. Weapons control marks them as probable military patrol craft. Then over open frequency, a burst of static and a male voice in accented English. Unidentified vessels, you are entering Bolivarian waters. Alter course immediately. The carrier group says absolutely nothing. Radio silence maintained. Formation holds. The 2 destroyers, Hudner and Ramage, slide into defensive positions, flanking the Ford like bodyguards. The cruiser Normandy shifts aft, creating a 360-degree coverage bubble. At 0221, one of the Venezuelan boats lights up its fire control radar. The signal spikes instantly on the EW board. Short-range X-band, high pulse rate. A lock, not a test, aimed straight at the USS Thomas Hudner. CIC. We're being painted, the officer reports. The captain's voice is calm. Track, but do not engage. The Seahawk hovering 5 miles out confirms what the radar already shows. The Venezuelan boat's targeting sensor is active, aimed directly at the destroyer. In seconds, automatic defense systems react. CIWS turrets rotate toward the bearing. Infrared cameras zoom in. Target data streams across every screen in CIC, and then silence. No weapons fired, no alarms. Just 6 boats, weapons uncovered, holding position 8,000 yards up the Ford's bow. The destroyer captain holds fire. The Venezuelans hold their pride. The sea is still. The weapons aren't. 0223 hours local time, Caribbean Sea, north of La Guaira. For a few seconds, everything freezes. 6 Venezuelan patrol boats idling on the black water, facing an entire U.S. carrier strike group. The kind of moment where a single radio call could decide the next decade of foreign policy. Then one boat moves. Its engines flare white. Speed jumps to 40-45 knots. The bow lifts, wakes exploding behind it. It's not turning away, it's charging. Contact Alpha 3, accelerating, bearing 185, closing fast. Every voice inside the Ford CIC sharpens but stays calm. On the bridge of the Thomas Hudner, the officer of the deck watches the range counter spin down. 3 nautical miles, 2 nautical miles, 1.5. Green signal flares streak skyward from the destroyer, the international command to turn away. No response. Target ignoring signals, range 1,000 yards. CIWS mounts lock in. Every sailor knows what that means. One more wrong move and the entire sky will light up. On the Venezuelan boat, the commander shouts over the roar of engines. He can see the destroyer silhouette now, a black wall of steel. His radar shows returns. He doesn't understand, multiple pings stacked, distorted by jamming. The data is garbage, but it's too late to check. Distance 900 yards, a voice reports in the CIC. 850, 800. Then just as suddenly, the engines throttle back. The boat's bow drops. It cuts hard to port, spray flying across the deck. In seconds, the formation collapses. One turns, then another. The rest follow, fleeing back towards Venezuelan waters in erratic overlapping wakes. No missiles fired, no shots exchanged, but the radar plots tell the whole story. A confrontation that came within seconds of turning catastrophic. In the Combat Direction Center, the captain exhales once, quietly. Maintain course and speed, don't pursue. On screen, the last of the fast movers fades south into the static. 1 second too early, war. 1 second later, humiliation. Tonight, silence won. Smash that like button right now if you understand what just happened, because this is what real naval power looks like. By sunrise, the Gerald R Ford strike group is already 60 miles north of the encounter point, maintaining steady course and speed, 20 knots heading northwest. On the bridge, the morning watch rotates in. For most of the crew, it's just another day at sea. But outside the ship, the story is already spiraling. In Caracas, state television interrupts regular programming. Low-resolution video from a patrol boat camera showing faint silhouettes of warships against the horizon. Edited, cropped, captioned, U.S. fleet retreats. Within minutes, the footage spreads across regional networks and social media. At the Pentagon, the response is measured. A press release includes satellite imagery, eyes data, and GPS timestamps showing the Ford group more than 80 nautical miles from Venezuelan waters. The message is clear. The U.S. Navy did not cross any territorial line. From a distance, it looks like nothing happened. No missiles launched, no casualties, no screaming headlines. But inside the Pentagon, this encounter was dissected frame by frame. Because what happened off the coast of Venezuela wasn't luck, it was pure discipline. For Venezuela, the mistakes began long before the first engines even started. Their coastal radar systems, built around outdated Chinese JY-11B units, were never designed for complex maritime environments. They mistook radar reflections from multiple ships as a single large contact, a basic but critical error. Acting on that misread data, they sent small, lightly armed patrol boats towards what they thought was a lone destroyer. In reality, they were charging at an entire carrier strike group, one with enough layered defense to wipe out any surface threat within minutes. The Ford crew, by contrast, followed protocol down to the letter. Detection, verification, visual confirmation. No assumptions, no improvisation. When fire control radar from one of the Venezuelan boats locked onto the Hudner, every defensive system came online within seconds. CIWS, CIWS, the whole lot. But the captain never flinched. He kept the weapons tight. No one fires unless fired upon. That restraint matters more than any missile system on the ship, because in naval operations, control is everything. Every sailor in that combat information center knew that one wrong decision could start a war, one their adversary couldn't possibly survive. By holding fire, the Ford group sent a louder message than any missile ever could. They showed what real power looks like: confidence under pressure. In the age of satellites and global tracking, truth doesn't stay hidden for very long. Every radar pulse, every eyes signal, every second of data told the same story. The Ford group never entered Venezuelan waters. It was a near miss born of miscalculation and a reminder of a truth the sea never forgets. In naval warfare, discipline is stronger than firepower. And sometimes the biggest mistake is thinking you can challenge both. So what do you think? Did the US Navy handle this the right way? Calm, calculated, professional? Or should Washington take a tougher stance with Venezuela's growing confidence at sea? Drop your thoughts below. I read every single one of them. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can join the fleet. You'll get loyalty badges, priority replies, and you'll be helping us bring more true maritime stories to the surface. Thanks for watching, and until next time, fair winds and following seas. And remember, if you ever think about challenging a US carrier group, maybe sleep on it first. I'll see you in the next one.